I think it's virtual certainty that interest rates are going to go up. We'll see by how much. Inflation is coming. Once again, we'll see how much. These are all kind of scary things. Precious metals are going to go up in value. Gold's going to go up. Silver's going to go up. And I think that these are good, safe bets. And in a time of uncertainty, they're probably the best thing you can possibly hold.
Welcome to this RTD interview. Today, I'm excited to have first-time guest, Mr. Nick Luksha, the President and CEO of Prospect Ridge Resources. And today's joining us to share his thoughts on the economy, precious metals, as well as opportunities in the mining sector. So, Nick, welcome to RTD Interviews.
Thank you for having me, Mike. Great to be here.
Yes, I appreciate you taking time to join us here on RTD Interviews. Looking forward to find out what's happening up in your region. But before we dive into that, curious to find out a little bit more about you. So if you don't mind, share with us a little bit of your background and how you've arrived at this point in your career.
Sure. I've had my hands in many different pies, different businesses throughout my life, definitely a true entrepreneur. Found my way into capital markets a little over a decade ago and working through that in various capacities. Many years later, here I am as a director and president of Prospect Ridge Resources. Very fortunate to have a fabulous CEO who's a legendary mining guy to help, guide and teach us and take us to the promised land. So, it's a great place to be, and we're happy to be here on this project.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thank you for sharing that. And so before we dive into a little more about the project you have there, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on the current lay of the land. We're approaching the end of 2021, lots of things going on globally. And so I'm curious to get your thoughts as a director and president of the company, as well as an investor. What are some things that, concerns you, as well as some things that probably excite you as well at this current time?
Well, obviously it's strange times. If someone had told us 2 years ago that we were going into a pandemic that was going to shut down the world, most of us probably would have laughed at them. Here we are almost 2 years later, and a lot of people thought we were coming out of it. And now we're hearing about a new, more deadly strain coming out of South Africa. They're blocking flights and trying to close borders and whatnot. Friday had a direct result of that. All the markets were down. The one thing that was up was gold. And, again, today markets closed and they're better, but not great, and gold is up again. And so, in uncertain times, precious metals definitely are a good thing to have. Unlike things like Bitcoin, they can never go to zero. They always have value. That's the world's oldest currencies is precious metal. And, I think that they're a safe bet and a good thing to have.
All right, understandable. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on diving a little bit deeper into that. And so based upon Friday's results, and then, of course, we currently have the Federal Reserve talking about dialing back. At the same time, new situations are arising, as you hinted at. What's the probability that they'll actually be able to stick to their own promises of dialing back some of the accommodations heading into 2022? We have to go complete with 180 or what? What do you think?
I think it's virtual certainty that interest rates are going to go up. We'll see by how much. Inflation is coming. Once again, we'll see how much. These are all kind of scary things. Precious metals are going to go up in value. Gold's going to go up. Silver's going to go up. And I think that these are good, safe bets. And in a time of uncertainty, they're probably the best thing you can possibly hold.
All right. Now, you said inflation rates or interest rates rather have to go up. And so I think that also creates problems because it makes the debt currency unpayable, rather, even more so. So something kind of has to give, don't you think? They can't have it their way for long. But then again, they can't continue to try to play like they can go back to where they have, high interest rates and people actually earning on their savings and things like that. Is that possible in this current environment?
It's hard to say. I can't really see it. I think that the world's going to be a bit of a scary place, financially speaking, in the coming year. And I think it's best to, take care of yourself and make sure you invest in things that are as close to a sure bet as you can get. And, set yourself up for the best position possible that when you come through it, that you're in a position to be able to move forward. Things are cyclical. Whenever there's a tougher market, there's a better one ahead. So, all seasons come and go. I'd say just do your best to set yourself up the best you can, invest in the safest things possible. And when things turn around, you're in the best position to invest in a business, buy a car, buy a home, or do whatever it is that you want to do.
All right, understandable. So I want to just, get your thoughts on, because you hinted earlier about the Bitcoin, digital asset space, and that clearly has stolen a lot of thunder over the last decade. So you mentioned about, going to zero. So I'm not sure, is there room for them both to exist or what do you think?
Well, first of all, I'd say myself, like anyone else, I wish I bought Bitcoin 10 years and sat on it, but I didn't. So, here we are. it's been tremendous, and a lot of people have made a lot of money on cryptocurrency. I'm a little weary of it just because it doesn't have anything back it. And therefore, who knows what can happen when you have people like Elon Musk that are supporting it. It's always going to provide confidence to people in the market to get into it and whatnot. But, I can't think it's going to go on like this forever. And I'm sure there'll be a correction at some point. And holding the bag, it's going to hurt.
Right. I agree. So that's where, we're kind of, back and forth, because I think, of course, there's a much greater agenda behind all that. But I'm just curious always to give, people's position on that, just because it's here and it's being considered as the next safe haven next to gold. So it really bothers me, but it is what it is. But talking about, this interest rate hike, and typically in the past, whenever interest rates are, hiked up a little bit, gold tends to do favorably well. And so coming into this next interest rate hike season, do you anticipate gold surpassing 2,000 and doing extremely well, or could there be some other things that we maybe not have foreseen yet? Yeah,
gold's definitely going to do well. How high it goes, we'll find out together as it goes on its run, but it's definitely going higher. The stage is set. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of how high it really goes. I know some people are predicting 2,000. I've heard some people predicting as high as 2,300. I'm not entirely sure, but I know that we're going good places.
Right. And now when gold does well, precious metals in general does well, that's also good for the mining space as well. So in an environment where metals do extremely well, what are you expecting or anticipating just for the mining sector in general in an environment where metals are doing extremely well?
Mining should be hot. If you're sitting on good properties and you're getting good grades and good samples, and you're, or at a stage where you're extracting good amounts of gold, silver, whatever, then your company should be rocking and rolling. You should be good things to be a part of, be a shareholder of, and invest in.
All right. Now let's dive in a little bit to Prospect Ridge. So I'm curious to find out something about what you guys have going on there. So share with us a little bit of the history and how you guys have arrived at this point with the company there.
So we IPO'd back in late May of this year, and then shortly after did a raise to take on a property that we've named the Holy Grail. It's become our flagship. It's 80,000 hectares. It's directly south of the famous Golden Triangle. Same geology as the same gold as the Golden Triangle has. And we brought a legendary mining guy out of retirement after he saw the rocks that came off the mountain. He couldn't deny it, and jumped in to lead the charge. And we are excitement to be an understatement. We're stoked. We're fired up. We've got a tiger by its tail here. And the property's so massive, and there's so many different showings, and there's visible gold in many different places. And we're getting great grades back, and we're in a good geographical location because we can work through the winters, and a lot of the area that's not snowed in. We've got highways, we've got deep sea port, we've got electricity, we've got logging roads, we've got all kinds of stuff that just make this such a good mix of an amazing project, on top of the fact that it appears that there is a lot of gold and a lot of silver amongst other minerals on the property. So, our guys have been banging on rocks for the last 7 months and putting in all the samples, and they're going to continue to do so through the winter. So we're going to have a steady flow of results coming back to us from the labs. We got 4 spots that are drill ready for spring. By spring, we think we'll have 4 to 6 more. We're well capitalized. We got a home run hitter that I mentioned before that's leading us, and it's great, and a lot of exciting stuff.
Interesting. So if you don't mind, share with us some of the figures, some of the numbers of the samples you guys have so far based upon what you're expecting.
Rule that I'm sure a lot of the viewers know: anything that's 5 grams per ton or more is great, and it's worth crushing the rock to extract the gold. We're seeing that, times 5, times 10 on a regular basis. Anywhere from 20 grams a ton, 30, 40, 50. We've had some that have hit as high as 117, and we've had a lot of it. And so there's a lot of spots on this property that could be a mine. Our feeling is that we have at least 1 mine on this property, if not a whole bunch of them. And as Mike has said, he's like, we're going to put in the time to prove up how much gold we really have. If we think we have 3 million tons, then we're going to, dig a little further and see if we have 30, because we don't want to get undersold to anybody. Mike has built a couple big companies, one of them being Fortuna Silver. Had a max market cap of 1.8 billion when he was chairman. And I think they've extracted about $2.5 billion worth of silver out of the ground there. And he got bought out by Osisko. Anyone who doesn't know Osisko's a giant.
Right.
He started another company, Now Gold. They got bought out by Osisko. And so Mike knows what he's doing. He knows how to build up these companies, and he knows how to sell them to a big player. So our intention is that we're going to prove up this ground and look to, find a buyer in the future when we're ready.
Right now, so you got talk about the Holy Grail property. Also talk about I think the Knowles Creek. I saw you guys acquired that as well. Is that all included in there as well?
Yeah, and that's a real feather in our cap. They're obviously side by side. Knowles Creek got added into the Holy Grail, and it alone has a whole bunch of drill spots and amazing showings and potential mine or mines on it too. So putting that into the fold, it's just, we have so much to work with here. It's amazing.
Interesting. Now, I take it that region where you guys are located at, it has to be like a hotbed for the most part, as far as a lot of other active mines and whatnot in that space. And so I'm assuming it's just a naturally rich, region itself. Am I correct?
It is, yeah. So it sits directly south of an area called the Golden Triangle. Golden Triangle has current and historic mining operations on there. And it's called the Golden Triangle for a reason, because there's been a lot of gold that's come out of those mountains. And we're right south of it. And the geology runs straight through, continuous into our property where it's the same geology. It's funny. We had one day we were up there, and sometimes you use a helicopter so you can hit a whole bunch of spots a lot faster than doing it in the truck on the logging roads and whatnot. And when we were in between spots, Mike said over the intercom system on the helicopter with the headset on, so everybody could hear the geologist, the pilot, and everything. He's like, you see how excited the geologists get when they see this stuff on the ground here? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's what gets me excited, because these guys are scientists. And these guys prove what we think is correct. And seeing these geologists be almost giddy at what they're seeing, what they're finding, it was pretty cool. It's like Christmas morning to these guys. It's like, wow, look at these rocks. Wow, look at these minerals. Wow, look at this visible gold. It's cool stuff.
Wow. So I saw that, I heard that inside ownership is well over 50%. So clearly you guys believe in it, where you're putting your money on the ground to back this project. So share with us a little bit of the current financial side of things.
Yeah, so about 60% of the company is held by a group of relatively tightly knit investors. Mike, of course, he's been at this a long time. He's brought a couple of really big players with him that have been with him for the last 30 years throughout his various successes. He's literally made them like hundreds of millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. And we've got a couple of billionaire families that are involved. A gentleman who's about half of a billionaire, and these guys are all along for the ride where we get bought out. These guys don't get excited about making a couple $1 million. They get excited about making 20 or 30. And so we've got a great group of people that are in this because they're in this for the success of us proving it up and finding a buyer.
Interesting. Now, moving forward, share with us a little bit of the long-term plans and how you guys plan on continuing to develop that. And also, is there any other information you guys might want to share with the audience that I might not have mentioned, question-wise?
Sure. Well, over the winter, our prospecting team's going to keep going, keep collecting samples, keep proving up locations where we can drill. And then come spring, we're going to drill a minimum of 10,000 meters, if not 20,000 meters. And we're going to hit 4 to 10 spots and then take it from there. But we've got a really bright future ahead of us in the near future. Should I say in the next 8 to 12 months, that anyone who's watching, stay tuned. And if you're not buying our stock or investing in the business, then put us on your ticker and watch. Read our news, because there's going to be cool stuff coming down the pipe. Yeah,
feel free to share with us the ticker symbol and some details as to where people can find out more information. Of course, I'll put some of that beneath the video as well, but share with us some information where they can find out more information about the project.
Sure thing. In the US, we're on the OTC as PRRSF. On the Canadian Stock Exchange, we're PRR. And then over in Europe, on the Frankfurt, we're OED.
OED. Okay, sounds good. So if anybody have any questions or whatnot, is anybody on the team accessible to answer any questions directly? Or
please, please email me. I'll reply. Happy to answer questions. So it's fun to talk about this. It's so exciting that you get me going and I can keep going.
Right.
It's been awesome, and I wish I had a crystal ball, because I wish I could see where we're going to be at in 6 months and 12 months. It's going to be somewhere great. It's not exactly how great,
That's good. Well, I want to wish you guys the best. And of course, as always, I follow progress with you guys, and I'll hopefully have you back on next year, and we'll see where we're at then and give some updates to the community and whatnot. But as always, it's great to have you on the show, and I'm definitely looking forward to find out more about it myself. And so I'll put more information for people to find out. But other than that, thank you, Nick, for joining us here on RT Interviews, and wish you guys the best with what you guys are going on there.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. It was fun.